I'm Ellen the Crazy Crafty Lady here with another awesome video. Thought we could sew and chat a little bit maybe. And we could learn how to make an awesome, really cool, easy pin cushion. Sorry I haven't been on lately a whole lot. I have had some medical issues going on, which I am getting straightened out now. But I thought we could have a little fun and make this crazy pin cushion. I have some awesome cats, a little bit of a gray background, and this really cool, awesome button we could put on there. Awesome. And a zipper so that you can zip it up or unzip it, take the cool stuffing out, and wash it. So let's get started. I'm going to take you over to my awesome ironing board. Been cleaning out my room a little bit too, and different things. And trying to just organize and clean up in here. So what we want to do here is just take our iron out our pieces, give it a little flip over, iron the back side just to make it look nice. Front side, back side. Been meaning to get on this for a while. I've just been so busy with so many things. Now that we've got our pieces ironed, then what we want to do is take one of the gray pieces, and we want to take our cat piece, and we want to turn it, so to speak, into like an envelope. Like this. Kind of iron it down. Give it some good pressing. Hold it a little bit if you prefer. Like that. And same to the other side. Kind of hold it down. Make like an envelope. And give it a good pressing. Always have to press everything. Iron is the best friend in the sewing room. And then what we want to do is take our awesome cats like this, put it on here, take our parts back to the sewing table. Sorry, I don't have a camera person to help me with my stuff these days. So I'm still alone with this. Here we're going to do, fold this over. And we can give this a pin or two around. Just kind of holds it in place. While we sew. Just a pin here, a pin there, a couple pins. Like that. And you can take it to the ironing board if you want to give it another pressing. But I think we'll be okay. And then we'll take this to the sewing table. Over to the sewing machine. And we will stick it on the sewing machine. And it's a good idea to have your needle all the way over to the left. And you only have to do about 1/4 of an inch on this part, because it's quite all right. Just needs an edge to hold it on. couple of back stitching. Pivot, maybe do one more stitch. And then pivot and carry on. Down the next side. Get to that corner spot. Pivot. One more stitch there. Pivot. Go down the next side. Maybe take a pin out so that we can, so our sides don't get too askew here. Just kind of put it back in place. Pivot, last side. Back stitch a couple stitches. Love the automatic thread cutters, they're fantastic. And then if you want, you can trim your edges. I went over a little bit on that edge, but that's quite all right too. Because once you attach the zipper, it will be just fine. Now we'll go back to the sewing table. And we have, of course, our really awesome button that we are going to attach here. And we have our thread. Once we find the middle of this thing, we can just kind of get an idea. Just kind of press it with your finger and you can kind of get an awesome idea where the middle of that is. Kind of put your thread in just so far. And then you can thread through your button. Easiest way to kind of work that out. And if you want to hold that piece of thread, kind of holds your button in place as well. And you just need to find a spot like right next to the thread and just kind of feed it through. And then you can feed some more through the back side and just kind of like put a couple knots in it. Put one, put a second one, just kind of holds it in place so it doesn't come out while you sew. And then you can grab your front and kind of just sometimes it's hard to get it in there. Sew it through that. Sew it through your buttonhole. Ouch. Sometimes you get a little picked. And then just kind of in and out. And just sew it in place. Come back out again. Just need to do it a handful of times. And sometimes you want to just come up through the hole first, so you can find that spot right next to it. And then just give it a few things on the back side. So through the hole. A couple more times this way, and then just knot it all in the back side. Oops, lost my book. Sorry about that, folks. Go in there. Sew it down a couple of times. And then we can just go like this a couple of times. Then you can take and wrap your thread around like this a couple of times. Tighten that knot real good. Because you're not going to really use the button, it's kind of a decorative thing. And then we can trim off our strings, leave a little edge, just in case it ravels ever. You can always give it a snug pull. And there we have a pretty awesome sewed on button. Next, what we want to do is put our zipper on. We have our awesome zipper and our awesome seam tape. My favorite thing in the sewing room. Awesome seam tape. What we want to do is place it like this onto here, onto our piece. Leave a little bit of the edge off. Press it down, and then you peel the backing off of this. Sailrite Company, best ever seam tape I ever got. Sailrite Company. As soon as I get low, I get them on the app, and I order and stock up on my seam tape, because that's golden for everything I do with zippers, from purses to these things to pillows to you name it. Anything of mine that gets a zipper gets the seam tape from Sailrite. They are the best. They also have some nice looking sewing machines, maybe at some point. Now we're going to go back to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew this part of the zipper down. We'll stick it on here. Little 1/4 of an inch on the seam allowance, as I call it. Backwards, forwards, down to this end. Back stitch a couple times. Cut it off. Sweet, cut it off really nicely. Now what we want to do is go back to our sewing table. Set you back up here. And what we want to do now is kind of flatten this piece out and seam tape again. Seam tape on this side. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't want it too close to the edges, because then it shows through. But also you wash the item that you make and the seam tape just vanishes. It's very, very cool. Peel that off. And then what we want to do is find the back side of this so that it's not on our front piece of work. And then we're going to just press that down again. Try to line that up a little bit. The ends of some of these zippers are not the best. Now we'll go back to the sewing machine. And we'll stitch down this little piece. Forward, backwards a little bit. I like making these, make all kinds of stuff. I make sporty ones. Different kinds. Flowered ones. Cut our thread. Now what we want to do next, we can always trim some stuff later as well, is we want to take this whole nifty piece to our ironing board and just kind of give the seams with the zipper a little bit of a pressing. So we'll just kind of stretch it and spread it a hair. Just give it a little pressing. Like so. And then what we want to do is go back to our sewing machine. And we want to do a little top stitch on the seams so that it gives it a nice little finish. So we're going to put this on the machine. Give it a little bit of a nice little top seam. Back stitch. Keeps everything looking nice and back stitch a little bit. Haven't been on my machine a whole lot lately. I've been just real busy with all kinds of stuff. And I'm hoping to get back at it and stay on it a little while. And yeah. Now we're going to do this side. Couple of back stitches. Trim off. Now we can, this is what we have so far. Now what we want to do is take this back to the machine. And what we want to do now, as you can see that, okay, great. We want to open our zipper. It's so important at this point to open your zipper for flipping inside out. And then what we want to do is put right sides together. And this is the part where you can use pins. I prefer to use these awesome little clips. They're great for so many things. But sometimes you have to use pins because the clips won't do those areas. So this is where the clips come in. And you can just kind of clip around it. You can trim it off later if you need to trim anything, even it up a little bit. But it's all really on the inside, and you just want to clip your corners and stuff like that. And then, let's see, sometimes it doesn't even out right away, and I gotta do a little bit of adjustment to it. Yeah, like that. Sometimes you want clips right on the ends, just so that they adjust properly and that they don't get pulled or by the sewing machine. Sometimes clipping the ends first and then clipping the middle seems to help. So you get them all clipped on. Sometimes I use too many clips, but sometimes I like a lot of clips because it helps me. Sometimes you got to flip it over and clip it on the back side and grab hold of it up at the top. But we can do trimming later, which is always, I'm trimming a lot of stuff on these things because that's just, sometimes I end up with the trimming end of everything. Okay, we got it clipped in place. Let me just be safe and add one on this other corner. And now we will go back to the sewing machine. And let me set you up here. And then what we want to do is we want to just go around the edges and just sew it together. About 1/4 inch, unless there's a spot you got to go over a little bit more where it doesn't quite seem to be even. Zipper thing, you want to go over it a couple times just to, because it's thicker. And then you just sew around. And then you just go, turn your corner, pivot, a couple more stitches. I always end up that. Okay, that's pretty good. You can always take your thing over a hair as you get to the corner spots. Sometimes you want to slide a clip down and leave it because it helps. Always helps me. And then you can just, sometimes I've got 2 hands going. And then a couple more stitch. Pivot. Move that clip down a hair. Sometimes the stuff moves a hair and you gotta hold it down. Won't be a perfect pin cushion maybe, but it's a nice little pin cushion. I use them on my table. I got one over there I made at one already. A couple of back stitches at the end. Trim it. Now what we want to do is trimmed right up. You can use, I usually use my orange scissors for these, but I'm gonna take and trim my corners off for the bulk. And that side's not too bad. Just take a little of it. And then we'll take it back over to the table. Over here, let's get some stuff out of the way. And what we want to do now is we're going to flip this thing inside out. Sometimes I like to undo the zipper more. Flip it inside out. My corner poker is my big long screwdriver, but it's pretty small, so I don't think I'll need it right now. Flip that. Flip the zipper part. Unzip it all the way. And then what you can do after you get it flipped, zip it up. And let's carefully take this to the ironing board, because we can go around the button and just give it just a quick little press. It doesn't even have to be that hot. Just enough to kind of press the edges down like this. Somehow I cut off a couple of my points, but it's cute anyways. I think it's cute. And it'll make a fine little pin cushion. Now what we want to do, last part of this deal, open that back up. We have an awesome bag of stuffing. And we also have this cool little thing here for our zipper. It's a sewing machine. And it's got a little key tag thing on it, keychain ring thing. A small one. So all you got to do is feed it through your little handle, zipper pull. And there we have that. And then we just want to take our stuffing and stuff it in to our awesome little pin cushion. Now, we might stuff the whole thing in there. Sometimes you can add a little more if you think it's not enough. If you think it's enough, just get it stuffed down in there good so you're not catching it in the zipper. Zip it up. And folks, give it a little pushing down. You can add more stuffing if you need to. There's plenty of stuffing. And there we have this cute little awesome pin cushion. Very amazing. And that is it for this video. I'm glad to be back on a little bit. Thank you all for sticking with me. And thanks for checking out this video. I will be back again at some point. Thank you for watching my video.